Hey guys, it's Nadia from LiaDia Designs, and today we are making a new style of coaster. They using washi tape and a Kintsugi style. So this style was actually created because I was trying to fix a set of coaster pours that didn't really go as planned. So as you can see, these ones here, the centers didn't perfectly fill in, and for what I needed them for, they weren't really going to work. But of course, they're perfectly fine. It's just I need to cover up that center somehow. So I decided to just kind of brainstorm and come up with something new. Any of you who are familiar with my Instagram account and have been following me from the beginning, way back in October 2019, I actually had the same problem with a pour, and that is how my dandelion coasters, which are super popular, that's how they were born. Because again, I was trying to fix a bunch of coasters that I had that didn't pour exactly perfectly. So we're going to do the same thing today with these ones here, and we're going to be using washi tape, and I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this. They come in so many beautiful styles and colors, and they're extremely detailed, and a lot of them have a little bit of gold on them as well that just kind of gives a nice shine. So I have been collecting washi tape for a little while. I've actually created some other pieces previously with washi tape. This is my first video that I'm creating with it. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And we're also going to be using an X-Acto blade and my gold outliner. If you've been watching some of my most current videos, you'll recognize the outliner. If not, I have a video here that explains the outliner as well as some alternatives. Okay guys, so let's talk about how to draw on your resin. So once your resin's cured, you can use one of these products to actually draw the dandelion design on your coasters. I have my preferred product for this, but I wanted to give you guys some options because what I realized over the last couple months with the pandemic is that it was becoming increasingly difficult to find the product that I normally use, and I wanted to give you guys options and alternatives just in case you weren't able to find um, my recommended product. So So before I was a resin artist, I actually used to draw on ceramics and glass, and I used to use this product here. It's called a Vitrea. It's by Pebeo. It's called Vitrea 160, and it's specifically for glass. Um, the way this works is you would draw on the glass of the ceramics, and then you would bake the item for 30 to 40 minutes, and that would set the paint onto it, so then it becomes washable, very durable, and it's just very specific for that use. But I really enjoyed working with this outliner, so I wanted to see if it would work with resin. And obviously, I wouldn't be able to bake the resin, but I figured that maybe if I was able to put a clear layer on top, then that would seal it in. And luckily for me, it does work. So again, I'm sure you're familiar with how this looks, but that is how that looks. The second alternative I came up with was trying to use an acrylic paint such as this DecoArt Extreme Sheen Pearl, which has a similar coloring as the Vitrea Pearl. But what I was finding when I tried to use it all by itself is that the paint was a little bit too thin, like the viscosity of it was too thin. So you'll see how that turned out on this test piece here. It's just a little bit too runny. So what was happening is that you weren't getting those sharp, distinctive design lines in here. It was just kind of all really soft and kind of mushy looking, so wasn't great. But what I tried after that is I actually mixed a little bit of this Liquitex Liquid Thickening Gel to the DecoArt, and like I said, not a lot, very little. And what it does is it just thickens it up just enough so that it's perfect to be put into one of these precision applicator bottles, and then you can just pipe it out just like you would if you were doing henna, or again, something similar to this. So I'll show you what it looks like once. So this applicator bottle is very common for henna artists. It's also used for many other types of mediums. You can find it at most craft stores, hobby stores, or even on Amazon. So I'll just show you how that looks. So it just pipes out just like that. And I'll show you as well in comparison to the Vitrea. So there you can see it. They're very similar, a little bit different in coloring, but very, very, very similar. So that was the two options that I think are the best. If you're not able to, sorry, let me actually show you the coaster with it. So again, you can see it works very well. Now, if you're not able to find either of these two options, and you need a very kind of simple option that maybe doesn't require any mixing or something maybe you already have, you could definitely just go straight to just a simple matte acrylic color. So this one here is called Basics by Liquitex. So I didn't mix this one. I I did mix it. I took the titanium white and I tried to make it pearl. I took some pearl um, pigment powder, and I tried to mix it to get that pearl sheen. The titanium white wasn't having it, so basically it just sucked up all that pigment powder and still looked super white when it was done. So I'll show you what that looks like here. So you can see it doesn't have that pearlescence to it. It's more of a flat white, but it does have a similar look. So like I said, and if you can't find any other products, this one works just as well in terms of holding up its shape and getting the design done for you. It just doesn't have that pearlescence to it. And maybe if you do find a brand similar to this that does have a pearlescent color, that might work just fine as well. I wasn't able to find any, just kind of rummaging around what I have in stock here. So I use this and I think it worked just fine as a quote unquote basic option. And again, I just put that inside one of these precision applicators that has the metal tip, and then I just piped it through. So again, use my needle to, I guess. So the great one thing about these applicator tips is sometimes they do get a little bit clogged. They do come with these pins, so you can just kind of clear it out quickly. And then again, piping a line. So there you go. So you can see how much whiter that is than the pearl. So again, it can definitely work depending on the design you're looking for or just what you have available to you. So there you go. So those are the three options. Hopefully between these three, you can find something that works for you. Okay, so we're ready to get started. So we're going to place our washi tape on our coaster. So we'll find a position that we think looks best, and we're just going to place it down. And we want to make sure it's adhered properly. And then we'll cut the excess off with our X-Acto blade. And very carefully, X-Acto blades are really sharp, so very, very carefully just trim off the excess along the edge of the coaster on both sides. All right, so that's our first one done. And then what we'll want to do is we want to kind of create a irregular, kind of a rough edge kind of look on it, because it's a little bit, I mean, you could leave it with the straight edge if you like. I wanted something that looks a little bit more jagged or even possibly broken, because we are going to be also adding the Kintsugi style as well. So we use the X-Acto blade to kind of cut that line, and then we peel off the excess. And we'll do that for both sides. Just using the X-Acto tip here to just kind of pick up the edge, and then pull that up. I'm going to make sure that the X-Acto actually cut the line. So, there we go. And there we go. So that is our first one done. And we'll do the same with this one as well. So you guys can watch this again, just to kind of show the process. And I was trying to include this really beautiful bird on most of my coasters here. So I tried to position them a little bit differently, so each one was a little different, but there's no right or wrong here. Basically, whatever suits your style and what you like. I really like the contrast of this dark kind of maroon color against the this blue that I'm using for the coaster base. I just thought it all just really complemented each other really well. So again, just kind of trimming off those edges and then creating kind of a jagged edge with the... Now washi tape is very thin if you're not familiar, so you don't need to press too hard here with the X-Acto knife. It doesn't really matter if we kind of scratch the surface of the coaster as well, but we just kind of want to limit that as much as possible. So again, we'll just pick that up, get those edges off. And once we're done here, we'll move on to the next step. The next step is going to be adding our line. So again, this is going to be mimicking a Kintsugi style, which is the Japanese art of repairing broken pieces of items. So, and usually they fill it with gold. So if it was a vase or a pot or something else like that, or a cup, and they wanted to honor it by if it's been broken, they want to reassemble it, they would use gold to fill those lines. We're going to mimic that with the outliner here. So we just traced around the washi tape, and now we're going to just create some extra kind of broken lines to kind of mimic that style. And again, it all comes down to your preference, wherever you think will look good. So you can just have them go little lines to the corners or large cracks that go across the entire coaster. It's up to you. And we'll do the next one. And once we're done this, we will leave it for probably about 30 minutes to start to dry, and then we'll do the next step, which is adding a bit of glitter. Okay, so it's been about 30 minutes and we can start to kind of, touch the outliner. It does dry pretty quickly. Usually I leave it about an hour or so, but in this case, we just want to make sure that it's not going to move when we add our glitter. And as you can see, I've actually also created another set using silver and another design of washi tape for the other 4 coasters that I had. the next step we want to do is add some glitter. As you can see here, just kind of added some blue glitter that kind of matched the actual background of the coaster along the lines of the gold lines that we added. So I'm going to be using this light blue galaxy glitter from Black Diamond, and also we're going to mix that up with some gloss varnish. Here I'm using Duraclear from DecoArt. And we'll just kind of mix a little tiny bit up in our little cup here with a fine tip brush. And basically there's, again, just however you feel. If you don't really feel you need the glitter, you don't have to do this step. You guys know me and I love my glitter, so of course I'm going to be adding it. So just go along the lines wherever you feel. It doesn't need to be along every line. Just in certain areas that you want a little bit of extra sparkle. So just continue here and let's do a quick time lapse, and once we are finished with this, we'll let it dry for a few hours and then we'll be ready to top coat them. Okay, so our coaster is now dry and ready for top coating, but before we do that, we want to protect the bottom against any drips that may happen while we're top coating because we're not in the mold for these ones. So what I use is some liquid latex, and this is the one I have on hand. It can be any kind or any brand, no issues with that. So we can actually just pour some in a cup here, and then we'll use a fine paintbrush um, to make the outlines along the bottom. Before we do that though, we want to use some rubbing alcohol to clean the bottom, just in case there's any fingerprints or residue. Just want to make sure that the liquid latex has a good adherence to the bottom of the coaster. So I use some small cups to kind of prop it up, and then I'll get my brush and then just paint the liquid latex around the edges. And as you can see, by looking at some of the other coasters, it dries clear. So that's how we know when it's ready. But in the meantime, so we'll go ahead and brush this on. So this basically will allow us to top coat, and then if there are any drips, they'll just peel right off the bottom with this liquid latex. So now, normally, if you guys have been watching my channel, you know that majority of the time I top coat right inside of the mold. But as you know, as you saw at the beginning of this video, these coasters were already out of the mold because they didn't really work out to what I was expecting, and I needed to demold them and start again. So these ones were kind of sitting to the side for a while. And so they were sitting to the side until I could just figure out what I wanted to do with them. And this was the the idea that finally came to me one afternoon. So we'll go ahead and finish this up. And once we'll leave them to dry, and once they're dry, we will be ready to top coat them. We're now ready to go ahead and top coat our pieces. So I've mixed up my resin, and as you can see in this speedy time lapse here, that we're just going to pour a little bit on top, and then we use our little spatula to spread it around, push it to the edges. We don't want to push them too far. Again, we're going to try to prevent getting any drips on the bottom, but just in case there is any, we do have that liquid latex on the bottom as well to protect that. So we're just going to push them towards the edges, being really gentle. And once we're done all of them here, we will heat them with a torch to get the bubbles out, and then we'll leave them to set overnight. So this process of top coating is actually really nice as well, just because it gives you a nice kind of domed finish to your coasters, which for most of mine, when I am top coating them in the molds, that doesn't happen. So it's a nice change to have that sometimes. And I know some artists actually prefer that. So it's really up to you how you prefer to do this part of the process. So it's good to know your options, and especially in this case where having it in the mold is not really an option. You know that you can still finish off your coasters this way. So we'll just get those all set up and then leave them overnight, and we'll look at the final product in the morning. And here they are. So I did paint some edges to these. So gold, obviously, on the gold ones, and silver on the silver ones. And I just think they turned out amazing. You would never know that these coasters were originally a failed pour. So, and that's something I like to do. So, I like to keep my fails just in case. You never know if you can find a way to reuse them. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.